Welcome to Level Up, a podcast brought to you by the young adults at CLF.
This is a space for you to link with our guests, panelists, to have real conversation with a godly perspective.
We're here to talk about life, people, power, money, career, sex, entertainment, or you name it. So come through for the topic, stay for the argument, leave with a vibe.
Welcome to Level Up.
Right. Hello everybody, my name is Raul Pinnock.
Hi guys.
I serve here at Christian Life Fellowship and this is my good sister Stacy.
Hi everybody, Stacey Ann Smith here. So excited to be talking with you and my brother here, Raul, about what are we talking about today?
All right, so we're talking about, what's important to you.
Okay.
Right? So we want to try and tackle some of the major issues that your millennials and, that other generation that come after that.
What name again? Gen Z? I joke. We love you too.
So we want to look at some of the serious issues that they're facing and we can discuss them. So, starting off, I like to start things with this odd thing that we call the gospel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The good news, the idea that Christ died for our sins, right? Rose again and is at the right hand of the Father.
Why start there?
Well, it is how I live my life is what I believe has saved my soul, right? So all of this kind of sound very Christianese, but when we get into it, I'm a 38-year-old father, husband, cancer survivor, right?
I'm older than you. I just feel very proud right now.
No, congratulations, right? But I learned this concept of DINK, right?
What is DINK?
Dual income, no kids.
Oh,
right? I actually heard it a while back, but the whole idea is starting out in marriage. We were one income, then we were one income, two kids. We've been no income, enough kids.
Whoa.
So, between the very real challenges that I faced and some of my contemporaries have seen them face, that whole idea of gospel that I was talking about, it ties in a very real way. So we can apply it to all of that fun story.
I agree with you. I think growing up, yes, I grew up in a Christian home. At an early age, I experienced, sexual abuse. And so that gospel is what kept me, the gospel is what kept me throughout all the repercussions that come from going through sexual abuse as a child. And it's the gospel that kept me sane. It was the gospel that I was able to go to when I needed some kind of a stability. So I do think the gospel is the starting point for this conversation.
All right, great. I like talking to you because we get this great contrast because for me, it's like I run from the gospel my whole youth. My whole youth, I have no interest in
Jesus.
The gospel. I'm going the opposite way. And then the funny thing, just because you mentioned it, as a young boy, growing up, I think technically, and in another life, if you're talking to some of your patients, right, or some of your clients, I think as boys in Jamaica, we go through a lot of sexual abuse. Right? We go through a lot of it.
How so? What do you mean by boys go through sexual? Outside of a person's actually abusing you, is what you're talking about?
Well, the thing is, all right, so it's a weird culture because, like I said, I think you would tell your client that, that was illegal. You hear, like she shouldn't have done that.
Right.
But every second boy in my childhood had a story about them and them helper.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Really? You
No, seriously, because I know the helper, but to hear every other person, that makes it smaller. Yeah. I know Jamaica in general, statistics isn't necessarily our strong suit, but it's 1 in 4 for us as women.
Really?
I knew that.
One
so
in
to
4?
hear every other friend you have, that's at least similar, if not more.
So, I don't have statistics.
Okay.
Right? But I tell you, my perception, if I had to guess statistics, I would say every other boy growing up and 3.8 in 4 are the females that I knew. And I said that because, all right, okay, so I was sharing with my group, just recently. Like I had an experience with a helper growing up. Is looking back on it, I could say it to you, and like I said, you would maybe in a professional capacity describe it as abuse.
Wow.
Because for me, it was just this weird lady. I'm trying to play football. I trying to leave to go play football, and she's tugging at my shorts. Like, this is weird. Please stop that. I want to play football, right? So that's in my, 8-year-old or 7-year-old, whatever it is. I don't remember how old I was, right? I kind of just passed it off like, oh, that was weird. But anyway, my whole focus is to put on shorts and put on clothes so I can go play football, right? So I don't carry that as trauma, right? But like I said, if you heard it in a data set or whatever, you probably think that that probably counts.
And that's a really big problem for young people right now, trauma.
Yeah.
Going through really painful, hard things. And I think right now one of the big issues for young people is how to address that, how to deal with that, how to function with that. Because just like you, when I was younger, this bad thing happened and there was no, like right now, if I open my phone right now, at least every other post is talking about, protect the woman, do this for women, here's where you're going to get counseling, here's where you get help. And it could also be because of the space I work in, why it's, the algorithm is.
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely is. Because I don't get any protect the woman posts at all. But please continue.
Fine. But even if you're not getting it, as I'm sure you would say, there is more conversation now about getting help for that, and that being wrong, and that I didn't hear it at all. I heard about this when I was in my class in college, the 21-year-old being like, I got groomed? What is that? The conversation is a whole lot more now, and it's I know we're talking about the problems that young people face, but I think it's also a benefit that we have right now where it's more talked about. But then I would also say the flip side is, and I know a person's probably going to come for me because I'm a therapist, I feel like I operated less like a crutch, like I needed, how, I say this very carefully because I don't want nobody to come for me. So some aspect of what happens now for, I think, young people is a little bit of weakness. I feel like we fall apart very quickly. It's the end of the world, much more quicker than I think when you and I were younger. And I think it's twofold, because I do think that because we didn't talk about certain stuff, we didn't get to process it. But I think we also just kept going. We kept pushing, we kept working, we kept moving forward. And so it's like a catch-22 where I'm like, yes, I do think I think we're more aware of traumatic issues now because we're talking about it more, and I think that's helpful. But I think also what is kind of happening for us, it's almost like a weakening. I heard my mentor mention this Arab, proverb where he said, my grandfather rode camels, my father rode camels, I drive a Porsche or whatever he said, and my son drives a Porsche, but my grandson's going to be in a camel. Because it's hard times that make you the man or make you strong. And I feel like right now we've probably come a little bit more into the soft cuddling. I mean, what do you think?
No, absolutely. So I watch, so there's a sports show that I watch, Chris Broussard is on it, and he has this thing where say, young people be soft.
Ooh.
Right? And I mean, there's something to it. I don't know what your experience was growing up, but like growing up in Jamaica, after I finished listening to my mother and my auntie and my uncle, them, before 5 a.m., before the sun come up, my uncle have to tie out 4 goats, right? Walk out 1 cow, catch water for one dozen sheep, right? And this is all before getting ready for school.
For school and eating
walk
breakfast.
Barefoot 8 miles.
In the blistering sun.
Uphill both ways. right? And so the idea, I mean, I guess that was their way of saying, boy, young people be soft.
Yes.
Right? The thing about it is, I think there's something to it. I think there's something to what she's saying. And I think the answer to most things in life is finding dynamic balance.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to go back to the days of when my uncle them have to tie out cow and
thank
goat,
you.
right? But at the same time, I don't think it's right for me to be trying to wake a child and say, listen, we have to do X, Y, Z before you get to school. And, you know, no, he can't, because, you know, he's reflecting on the rights and personhood of the goat that my uncle abused, you know, 40 years. Like, I think I'm not woke. I'm very unwoke.
I'm very unwoke, right? I can tell. I can tell.
But the whole idea, the whole concept of loving your neighbor, that is a very important concept.
True.
Now, a lot of things and a lot of people purport that, but it is my belief that you're only getting there by being connected to a superhuman power.
Yeah.
You're not going to love, you know, you're not going to love somebody like yourself inherently. It's kind of like people say, boy, you know, $1 million is just 1,000, just getting $1,000 1,000 times, you know. That's the arithmetic, right? That's simple, right?
I've spent $1 million.
But, huh?
I probably spent $1 million a couple times.
No, it's just like, but do it, no? When you go about trying to do it, it's you find that it's much more difficult than the simple concept. So the concept of loving your neighbor like yourself is very simple and straightforward. But believe you me, I think you need supernatural power to do that.
Marriage, here we go. Talk about the issue for young people right now. My goodness, I feel like if you're not married yet, mighty God, we're just gonna have to pray to get over there. But also those who are married right now, I didn't expect to see so many of my Christian friends getting divorced.
Yeah,
that was new for me.
But it's hard. It's like legit hard. It's two very flawed people trying to come together as one, right? So I mean, that's where you get to the divorce. I mean, you get to the divorces because it's hard. It's like legit very, very hard. And it's kind of, I mean, I've heard secular guys say it's the most important decision you can make in your life, right? Because it's the person that you commit to full time. Changing setting, changing circumstance, all these things, that's still your person that you're literally wedded to.
And I get that. I get it's the hardest decision or the most important decision you make. But I think some of the issues that on a single side, I can say is that, so when you're younger, I know you and this whole list conversation, but when you're younger, you are told, at least when I was younger, I was told to focus on my books, right?
Yeah.
Focus on your books and God will deal with that part, right?
Yeah.
And then if you grew up in the Christian circles like I did, there are 5 billion singles conference, concerts, events, books, groups that you're supposed to watch, attend, read to prepare you. Like I've been preparing since 1990 something, right? And so what happens now is that now I'm being told, like when I was younger, I must have a list and an expectation that I'm praying and preparing the church people. And then now that I'm
told you to have a list?
Yes, man. Put down before the Lord what is it you desire. And then now that I'm older, honestly, I remember the first time I heard it's like something happens when you pass 30 where now, why you have a list? Your list is too long. You're being too picky. I'm like, I'm sorry. You told me back then to have a list. Now you're telling me I shouldn't have a list. And so now I feel overwhelmed.
All right, so
my whelmed is even overwhelmed.
I was going to call this segment "Death of the List," right?
Death of the list.
But because I was my full plan and intention was to come for the list. But what I didn't, this whole, you told me I should have a list. That's a first for me, right? Because, I mean, as a non-Christian boy growing up and in coming church, I guess my life, my experience was very different, I guess. But I can tell you what I observed. No, listen, he needs to be 6 feet tall. He needs to be saved and sanctified.
Yes.
You know, he needs to be pastor. He needs to be caring, manly, strong, aggressive, passionate CEO
Of course. What's wrong? What is he saying that's wrong? Nothing. I'm just playing.
No, the problem.
Okay.
The problem is. All right, legit.
Before you come and say a problem, me want you tell me say you never have a little of what you want when you get married. Tell the honest, tell the truth, and shame the devil.
But honestly, all right, let's just be real. The fact of the matter is, it's a very different experience with men and women. It's very different. I mean, like, my
must answer me first. You didn't have like a I want these things in my wife?
No, absolutely.
Okay, so.
But as a young man, all right, here's the, I guess maybe open secret.
Okay.
Of growing up in a society of crofts, right? There's a whole thing when mediocrity is the standard, then normal is extraordinary. Okay.
Yes.
So that's a philosophical thing, but in my Jamaica that I grew up in, if God bless you for be 6 feet and you know have no tree growing in your face.
So basically he's saying because he grew up good looking and tall and attractive.
I didn't. Okay.
It's okay.
The thing is, if you have a certain reality, then basically all you have to do is be uncroft, you know, and then especially in church, you basically have the pick of the litter, right? I mean, I'm not talking about fairness. I just kind of speaking like the facts as I see them.
Yeah, man.
Like my you know, I have a lot of single female friends, and it's always like, yo, or like, who is very forward is the mothers.
Okay.
Right? So the mothers would be like, and especially like 7 years ago when I was a little younger, it's like, you know, I have no friend. I can't introduce to my daughter, and it's just like, yo, I hate to break it to you, but all my friends are married.
Married.
Yeah, because literally what happens is that, especially my Christian friends, the guys that, and I mean, forget 6 feet, like they're just serious, nice guys, like guys serious about God and know how to treat a lady. Literally, once they finally come to me and say, yo, I want to get married, 12 months tops. That's how it's going to go, right? So it's not that you don't have a list, but, you know, it's a men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I mean, the truth of the matter is, so I had one brethren that, you know, I don't name names to protect the guilty, right? So I have one brethren, right, that hit on almost all of the list. Like when we just were in men's ministry, we just get saved and we are he kind of hit on all the lists, right? And
what do you mean by hit on the list?
As in the whole Christian, serious about the Lord.
Oh, he
nice
qualified.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, ambitious, educated, was on like the right.
Why do we sound like that? Why do we sound like
that? That's how it sounds in my head. I hear it, like I hear it in my nightmares, right? I've been hearing it for a decade, right? And he hit on all of this, and my friends, we all used to tease him, right? Because anytime you get the 411 or the intelligence on what the ladies are talking about, it's hilarious because all the friend groups, there's somebody about him, right? So we count it up and it's like, bro, you're gonna marry them 15 girl. How is it gonna work out? But this is the issue with lists, right? You're gonna end up with those kind of number mismatches. And in talking about lists, the funny thing, me and like my closest guys, none of us married our type.
None of you married your type?
No, we didn't. Like it's and this is the thing, because all right, I can't speak for the ladies, but I know like for us, it's kind of, it was, especially on fire for Jesus. It was like a serious undertaking for at 22. You say you look a wife, right? Right, you know, I mean, you look a lunch right after that. You understand? So I know, I speak for myself and maybe a couple of my close friends. It's like, oh God, you know, who, I mean, they're girls I see, no, they're like really attractive, like really nice girls that I know my friends prayed about. They were like interested, and it's like, you know, and legit is like, The Lord said no. And you're kind of sitting there.
We need to
like,
pause right here, because you're bringing in an element here that young people, I feel, we are trying to throw out the whole God says.
Okay.
The whole pray about a spouse.
I think that's a bad idea, but okay.
I think it's a very bad idea. I think we should talk about it, because
Sure, no problem.
I grew up, all my aunts, my parents, it was a spirit-led decision.
Okay.
And I realized something shifted in the church circles where it became, you choose and God will bless. Like, you have autonomy, you have
That's
free
a thing?
will. Yeah, sir, when you're a Christian this long, you get to go with the tide and flow of the conversation. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
So I feel like this what you call it? Unicorn. Because I still hold fast to the, I'm praying and I'm trusting you to guide me to the person, and I'm praying that they're praying, I'm praying that they're praying, and that you would bring them to me. But there is a change in the church culture where it is, actually, I think we're coming back to it now. I think we were trying to be autonomous, and it went wrong, and so we're trying to come back to the, okay, God, what are you saying? What are you doing? How are you seeing it? But talk to us about this whole God being part of that decision and seeking God about it, especially when your list or your type is over here, and God said, no, she.
All right, so the whole issue of dealing with the list and praying about this was, all right. First principles is that we felt saved by the Lord. Like we felt like we've encountered this treasure that is salvation. You have conviction, you have this amazing experience. I mean, for me, you believe in a Jesus and you dash with this dirty life where you did have, and it's like it's just completely.
You're so funny.
No, the truth, and it's just like it's like unrecognizable. So it's like no, whatever more, give me this water, right? So the thing is, you are for me, and I think my guys, we approach everything in life like this. So it wasn't about like praying for a spouse. It was just like, yo, I go pray to God. Start the day, we're gonna see the Lord, right? So obviously, I mean, young men, women are kind of like a big part of life, high on the priority list. So obviously, that's gonna come directly before the Lord. And I mean, the truth is, again, like I said, very nice girls. And like, you know, let me tell you, my brethren will have the pick of the litter, you know, and it's just, you just have conviction that no, that's not the way to go. You know, over time, for me at least, being a Christian for a decade plus is an interesting experience, because then you look back on the Lord's faithfulness.
Okay.
And you say, boy, when we could have go for in that time there, and we couldn't understand why. You know, God just leading a different direction. I don't have no job. We just married. We need a job, but God sent a youth. Right? True story.
True story.
Like what is that? But being following the Lord for the decade, when you look back now, you say, whoa. So I would have been in a new country, in a new situation, dealing with weather that I wasn't used to, and be diagnosed with cancer. In that, like, no, that's not good. Better to be home in community and have that in that time. I would have had chemo and not know if I could have children after that. No, better for have the two youth than me now.
Already.
2 years, you know?
Yeah.
So I say all of that to say, I mean, we didn't know this when we were praying about a spouse. We were kind of just, I think we were just working on faith, conviction, and excitement of salvation, right?
Yeah.
And we just enthusiastically seeking the Lord and trusting Him, right? But there wasn't too much, but God, she had though. And she checked all of the boxes there, right? There wasn't much debate. It's just, but now what happens with the testimony that you have is just like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna trust a lot.
God way. And I like that you said what you said, because I recently read this verse in Jeremiah, and it said, you know, you are Lord and you are the one that determines our steps. And I think one of the issues that's very crucial for us, especially if you're a Christian, is realizing that God is the one who determines your steps, and then surrendering to that. Because I don't think whether you allow Him to or not, He's not ordering things. Whether you surrender to God or not, whether you're a Christian or not, God is still ordering steps. He doesn't stop ordering steps or start when you say, okay, God, you lead.
Yeah.
It's more you just coming on board with the program. Like, okay, Lord, I surrender to your will. Because just like you, there are relationships that didn't pan out where I was like, I don't think God is saying, even though may I pray and I beg and I plead and I bawl and I believe things that God never say. Yes, I was one of those.
There's a cure for that, but
there is a cure for that. I feel like I've been cured though. I trust me him, but you can tell me afterwards. Every single one of them, I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Or even if the person is still a great person, the path you took me on in terms of my ministry you have me doing or the work you have me doing, had I done it, I can't force you, but had I gotten what I wanted,
somehow I could have forced
somehow I could have forced the issue. Man, I'm so glad we did it your way. I'm so glad I am your child. And you mentioned community, and I think that's another big issue that young people are trying to work through, especially like the pandemic just threw a wrench into so many things that were either normal or it was broken, and it was really obvious how broken it is. And I think it's a really big issue young people are facing, and I struggle to be able to understand it because by God's grace I've always been in community. So I grew up in a church that my parents were leaders at, and then when I went away to school, my mom, the amazing woman she is, I remember when we were about to go to orientation and she's praying before we go and she says, Lord, all the things, and she goes, God, I pray you'll provide her with good Christian friends. Amen. And I said to her, Mommy, you never pray for a church. You miss something on the list, so to speak. And she goes, no, honey, the church will be there all it wants. If you don't have friends who are going to take you there, you'll never go. And this is my first time not being at home in the, what I call the Jesus bubble of how I grew up. And I remember having that crisis of faith of, am I a Christian? Because, you know, I go to a Christian school. I went to a Christian camp. I was in the Christian dance group. Like, Jesus. My parents bought me Christian novels. It was like, they were just like, inundate the child. Or am I a Christian because I want to? And so now I have the chance to find out. And growing up with strict parents, everybody was certain when I go to foreign, I go broke way. So I'm so glad my mom, my mother prayed for community.
Yeah.
And I bring it up because I realize that not everybody has that. Not everybody has community. And so many people have try to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because part of being in community is that you're going to see how people, part of being married is seeing the other side of the person who you took on the date, you know, that guy or that girl who was opening the door and whatever is the person who is now, you know, unkind to you and they're hurt or upset or their issue comes up. All that to say, I think we forget that part of the one another of the gospel of forgiving one another and being around one another. We come into these relationships with demands. You must meet how my needs for where I am now, and we're not willing to be a community, but we're demanding community back. So you're not being there for me, but have you been there for somebody at church?
Oh boy.
Because part of, like, I know I can call on anybody right now, but I think a part of that is because I have been that for other people.
Yeah, for sure. Just love thy neighbor.
Love thy neighbor. Yeah. Forgive thy neyghbor.
Do unto others.
Be patient with one another.
Oh boy.
Yeah, real stuff.
So, but okay, so this is the thing. You mentioned in Jeremiah caused me to remember something that was very important to us as young men.
Okay.
Just being saved, and is the good old Bible, you know.
The Bible.
Right. You know, so even your approach to a spouse, the song said, you know, you saw my unformed body. Every day of my life was written in your book before one came to be.
Hallelujah.
If you believe that, right? Because I used to have this thing where I said, do we believe this Bible, right? Because if you believe that, you know, there's a certain implications. Might as well you check with the Lord for the
before
you're
you married.
Because him know it all go anyway.
He does.
So him have all the things them in the book. So
I know
in this relationship, one of us don't know what's gonna go down. So me check with him and see if I can find out. So there's that, right? And that is key. That is, I believe, that is key to the Christian life. I think it's key to life. Just understanding the principles here, and going through the scriptures, right? And it has something for everybody. I think the Proverbs is very helpful for the young man to deal with the world. So a lot of the Bible is in a church, Christian to Christian, but I think there's a lot there for how you deal with the world as well, right? So come now to community. The question is like, how was the pandemic for you?
For me?
Yeah. And I mean, we can come to it in a second. Yeah, because here's the thing about the pandemic. The pandemic was another testimony for me, right?
Okay.
Because understand, I was sure I was getting married at 33.
Kind of early.
No, I had like a 10-year plan. I was just like, yo,
I'm saying you're early, because 33.
Very, very early. Yeah. but no, my thing is, because I had it all planned out, it's just like, you start with the woman at 30 and then you get a 3-year probation period and then you should pass, you go, boom.
I know you want to get very spiritual right now, but the single woman in me just heard what you said and it's like, can you imagine men are out there planning to start checking women at 30 and Christian girls are looking at you at 18, 19, 17, 16 to get married. Anyways, God bless us. Thank God he's the one orchestrating everything.
I mean, at the risk of being cancelled and showing my unwokeness, equality is a myth. Throw it out, right? So that's my thing, because it's just self-evident, right? We're different, but
very much so. Men protect women.
I'm saying, right? But anyway, the point the reason I made that point is because I felt like the Lord was directing me towards marriage, right? So it wasn't my plans.
So how did the pandemic come into this?
So again, I'm going to come to the pandemic.
Okay.
Because understand now, when the pandemic comes, that's 20, right? I'm 34, right? So, and I think the plans were like 33, 34, give or take, right? Part of the planning was corporate conquest. It was building the career. It was a different city every week. It was this and that.
Wow.
It was all
Jet
like that.
setting.
Yeah, that's what I came away from university thinking. And the funny thing is, I have friends that actually did that. That's another story we can probably do that another time. But it was interesting when I came to the pandemic, and I saw the city stop. Which I didn't think that was even possible. Like the pandemic was like trauma. One of the things I came away with, I said, well, the Christian thing work out.
How so?
And here's why. Because of my faith, so my personal experience was that I got married because of the faith. I didn't think I was ready. I certainly didn't think I was ready financially. Like, that's another episode, another whole thing. I wasn't ready because of the plans that I had and whatever. And then worse, when the children came. Remember, I didn't share this detail, but I was praying about a job when I felt the word of the Lord was, children are an heritage of the Lord. Right? Blessed be the man that have many, is like a mighty warrior with many arrows in his quiver. That was what my conviction of direction was. I'm like, Lord, really, children matter about a job? For support my one wife, like, what's up with that? But again, so God plays things out very differently from what I was thinking. But what it does is it leaves me at 27 years old, a husband, a father, and a cancer survivor. That's where it leaves me. So I'm like, okay, this is it. All right, God, how we sort this out. So we had certain rhythms as a family. So family dinner. And as a couple, date night. What that did is that when you come to the pandemic and you are in house jail, right? You need to figure this out. And you need to figure out this family. What I think happened to a lot of people is you're under the rat race and you're kind of living past each other. And then the pandemic comes and now, wait, I have to live with you now?
And live with you, like, and be
what
with
is
you.
that?
Okay.
So because it was kind of like, God in his loving wisdom. So that's a lot of my Christianity. Is God kind of dealing with like a very tough, stubborn head, and he's like, this is what I need to focus on. So having done that, we could survive. Like we could. I heard people struggling. Like I really heard people struggle and relationships break down and really fall apart under the pressure cooker of now we're in close proximity all the time, and I can't go. I can't go. So that was like that was why my testimony was kind of, yo, wait, but the Christian thing work out.
The Christian thing does work out, and I think one of the things that we're saying throughout all of this as we wrap up is that God is in control.
Yeah.
I think what young people are feeling right now is very out of control, whether it is where should I be as a married person or not, where should I be financially, where should I be in community, is that God is in control. And so with each of these experiences that we've talked about, surrendering to that control and letting Him lead, even if another verse I read recently was, I mean, I want to say the wrong Bible part of the Bible, but the sentiment was, even if there's no olive on the trees and no anything, you know, I will celebrate, is what the author said, the writer said, and I will rejoice in you, my Lord. So even if I can't figure out community, whether I'm married and it's hard, or I'm single and it's hard, because they're both hard.
It's hard, yeah.
Or anything, we will rejoice because you are our Lord. Yeah. We will trust in you. We will surrender to what you're doing, even if we don't necessarily like it at all.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why I commend the gospel.
Yeah.
Because listen, yo, believe you me, no. Spanish Town all day, every day. St. Jago High School, Chancellor Hall. I was anything in your mind that comes from those words. That was me. Like I lived that life. There's a reason. You were talking about non-Christian friends earlier. There's a reason I had so many non-Christians stand beside me at my wedding, because those guys know me.
Know how you stay.
Right? Those guys know what, yo, me give my heart to a woman, not for nothing, never happen. I'll be forever macking. Right?
He said macking. He's not part of the young people anymore. He just said macking.
No, but that's like, those that know, that's like a whole rap line, right?
I know.
The thing about it is, they knew, the point I'm making is that they knew that. So what I want to share and make clear here is that, yo, this is not an airy-fairy thing. I've been in the world. I struggle with it, still wrestle with it every day. What I'm saying is that the Christian life, I mean, Christianity is craziness, you know. We get to that another time, but you talk about surrender and trust in the Lord, it's madness, right? But the Christian life, what I'm saying is, it's not an easy life, right? But I'm saying life is not easy anyway. It's a better life.
Yeah.
My belief is you have this precious, precious salvation that is given to you, that can order your steps. Please. Because He's God anyway, you know.
He is.
It's like debating gravity. You know, I don't believe in gravity, right? Why should I conform to your white man's gravity? It's ridiculous, right? It's going to win anyway, and you go, they go argue with the sun. So I'm saying, listen, I commend to you the gospel. We commend to you the gospel. And I commend to you this miracle that is salvation. And it is my prayer that, you know, what is to be known of God is clear to you because God has shown it to you.
Yes.
So my prayer is that the Lord will dispatch His Holy Spirit to call you to Him. And the thing about it is that I tell a man, you know, it's not about baptismal service. If you kneel down in your bedroom by yourself today and just ask God, reveal yourself to me. If you're the, He will. My children know my voice. I don't know, I'm not God. I can't tell you how I'm going to do it, right? But I believe that He will. And I believe that you can then take that and apply it to this very real life. And we talk more about that. We talk more about the financing and the marriage and
all
the trauma, everything.
So if you come back, you have to subscribe, but you also need to tell us what you think about our topics today.
Yeah, please.
What are your views on praying before you get married? What are your views on the lists? What are your views on community? We'd love to hear.
Or what do you want to hear?
That too.
What do you want to hear? So, I mean, make we know.
Make we know.
All right. Big up.